Hello and welcome back to the Nasty Metal Projections channel, your YouTube. Welcome to, of course, the very last episode or video for, of course, Metaltober here in 2018. So, like I said last week, in the last video last week, that this one must be a little bit interesting. It is, mostly with its title, and what I'm going to say here, basically, well, as the title says, the journey is, well, it's always going to continue. I'm always going to find newer bands. I'm always going to find something new and different and everything. Definitely bands that I'll get hooked onto and everything. And so it's never going to end and everything. It's going to be completely different and so on. So that's basically the whole point of it. But that doesn't mean that I can't talk about albums that I was listening to in October 2016. Yeah. Now, the reason I choose 2016 is because of, well, why does everything have to go from the 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, and that is just too much there, okay? And I didn't feel like doing a whole bunch of videos and everything, focusing on this. I just want to pick particular ones that really sort of hit it with me, you know, just something that's a little bit interesting. Ones that, or at least just felt more natural with me. And this one, with 2016, I felt like, again, well, I guess to go along with the title, the journey really did kind of start to continue, and it still started to broaden even more than that really in like 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, or 15, even though there was some here and there, definitely some good stuff, but to me, I think things really started to come together with 2016. So with that, I got about 5 albums here of the show. So with that, let's definitely get right in. First one, this was definitely one that I had ordered around that time, and I mean, it was around September. It still was in regular rotation and everything in October. That, of course, is the basically third album from, of course, a band that I showed in my very first one. So in a way, it coincides with the very first video of the whole nostalgic edition of Metaltober. So that's of course is Dirty Deeds Done Cheap from ACDC. At the time, I didn't own a copy of Dirty Deeds Done Cheap, and to be quite honest, I was looking out for the Australian version of the album, with of course the artwork, the back cover, and so on. And I did. And, again, I played it very regularly from September into October. So within October, it was definitely on heavy rotation. Just always preferred the Australian version of the sound, especially with the track listing. I know that Scott Waters had showed an LP version of it. But here is, of course, a CD version of the album. Again, there is not a bad song, really. Sure, you could be questionable about Big Balls, but you know what? It's those double entendres, what ACDC was kind of known for. To me, this is the album that really kind of best exemplified of what they were at the time. It really kind of fit the image of what even on stage, the whole stage antics and everything, the whole album summons up how they were at that time. They were a raunchy, rude and lewd, crude rock and roll band. So that's what this sound definitely personified best. Still, not a bad album though. Great album. Well, that was definitely one I was listening to quite a bit, and at the same time, this was one that I had pre-ordered, or one of the two that I did. So at the time, this was getting reissued, and I ordered off of High Roller Records. This, of course, was Riot's Restless Breed. At the time, I did not have a copy of this, and while when I was talking about Riot in some of my last couple of videos, I think it was the classic metal bands. I showed like Born America, Narita, and Rock City, but I was listening to at least a few songs from this album. But at the time, I didn't listen to all of it. So when I got this, definitely a great album. Of course, features the whole entire Riot Live EP. Still, it was great. It's a Metal Blade reissue. I don't want to take it out and show the whole thing, but still, definitely a great album. Definitely a little more on the hard rock, more spectrum of Riot, but still has some great songs, some very metal moments. It's a great album from Riot. Next one here is actually one of the few Japanese bands that I was getting to at the time, or was definitely getting into. That's of course with Sabba Bells with Sailing on the Revenge. Now, I by the time of 2016, I did talk about some of these material, but for this one, I wanted to definitely go back and sort of very look back and reminisce on that sort of that time and everything. Still, this is a great killer heavy metal album from Japan. At times, almost on the new wave of British heavy metal feel and everything, like Grim Reaper, to be exact. Just great stuff on this one. Of course, when re-listening to it again, it's definitely an album that really holds up quite well. It's a great metal album from Japanese own Sabba Bells. And of course, another Japanese band, though, maybe one of the newer ones, and this was the one that I, alongside Restless Breed, that I did order off of High Roller as well at the time. That's, of course, is the EP from Blaze. Again, Japanese hard rock / heavy metal band, titled the Rock Dinosaur EP. Killer EP, 6 tracks, all great. Very much inspired by Thin Lizzy and UFO and so on. Though, when I'm re-listening to it again, I actually started to get much more of a Thin Lizzy influence on this one. Just many great songs. For a 6-track mini album, this is great. This is a freaking great 6-track album. Or EP. It's fucking great. Not a bad song on here at the time. I wasn't listening to it as much, even though it's a great EP. But now I think I like it way more than I did at the time. It's just a great, solid EP from start to finish. Nothing bad. But especially for those who are fans of Thin Lizzy, and I know there are definitely fans within the VC that are fans of Thin Lizzy, and that would be a great one to check out, for sure, if you haven't even checked them out. Alright, the last one here, alongside ACDC, though not ACDC, but definitely close to there. They're, of course, also from Australia, and at the time, this was the album that had me pretty much revisit this band, because I was into them by the time of 2008. I was into these guys. But by the time it hit 2009, and of course 2010, I just somehow lost interest. And I could never tell why the reason was. Maybe because I wasn't listening to a lot of ACDC during those times. Not until 2014, when ACDC released their album Rock or Bust. But when these guys were releasing their new album in 2016 and hearing at least the title track from it, it was piquing my interest. And then, of course, getting in the Rose Tattoo, these guys definitely were... I finally wanted to give these guys a much better revisit, and I'm glad I did. And this, of course, we're talking about Break Out of Hell from Airborne, which, of course, was actually my second favorite album from 2016. I think it made the number 2 spot in my best of list from that year. This sound to me, I think, is probably Airborne's best album. Probably since, I want to say for this, since their Riot Rock mini album from 2004. It just has that sort of same feel, or since their debut. I mean, though there's not a bad Airborne album within there, but This was just a great album. When I finally ended up getting a copy of this one on that year, this album get played was on a heavy rotation in 2016. There was not a day went by where I wasn't listening to this album. Everything from the title track all the way to the very last track, It's All for Rock and Roll, being a tribute to the late Lemmy. Just a great, great album from start to finish. Sure, there's definitely some silly stuff here and there, but just musically, this is just a fucking great album. Even the production and everything, it definitely at times doesn't sound like a sort of radio friendly or modern. Maybe it would have been radio friendly back in the 80s during that sort of party rock metal era with like bands like Kix or those kind of bands. It would have been not far off from them, or Helix. But still, this is just a fucking great album from start to finish. Hooks and everything. It's a great album. Nothing bad to begin with. So with that, don't want to do it because I have a review of this one anyways, and I think right there you'll see the link. You would have saw the link to my review that I did of this one at that time. So with that, I hope you all enjoyed this Metaltober of 2018. Next year, don't know what I'll have planned for next year's Metaltober, but definitely something I'll have up my sleeve. So, I hope you all enjoyed. So until then, this is Heavy Thrasher Sam out. I'll see you all later. Take care, everyone, and have a great Halloween. And of course, shit, this is on the day of Halloween. Everyone have a nice night. Great fucking time. Take care.